2020 was the year that the world finally woke up to the problem of deeply rooted racism in our societies. It was the year that businesses and organizations were forced to review their recruitment policies and stamp out biases, when universities issued statements on how they would be responding to the Black Lives Matter movement, such as changing their curriculums, and when individuals who had assumed they held no biased or prejudiced beliefs were forced to hold up their own preconceptions to scrutiny. However, it was also a year of pushback, a year when rejecting unconscious bias training became an act of heroism, as if holding biased or prejudiced beliefs is a human right. A year when taking the knee, a symbol of protest against racist police brutality, became to some an offensive act, a symbol of that bogeyman to the right, cultural Marxism. Instead of taking the opportunity to change things in the UK, particularly at a time when BAME communities are suffering the worst effects of COVID-19, the UK government has simply pandered to prejudice. Their approach is evidenced by the controversial appointment of a race commissioner who denies the very existence of institutional racism, despite solid evidence that it exists within the criminal justice system. At a time when BAME groups are disproportionately affected by COVID-19, the Equalities Commissioner announced that an investigation into the issue would be delayed, and the report would instead focus on geographic inequalities rather than race. In another bizarre speech, the Equalities Minister claimed that too much time was spent in schools studying racism and sexism at the expense of reading and writing. And in response to calls for greater diversity in the curriculum during Black History Month, the other Equalities Minister claimed that it would be against the law for schools to openly support the Black Lives Matter movement and to teach concepts such as white privilege as fact. The government policy suggests that just talking about structural racism creates a victimhood culture, and they have attacked anti-racist campaigners for fostering community divisions. In doing so, the government has denied the very existence of discrimination. They have portrayed racism as a perception of bias. This is in effect a form of gaslighting, whereby those who experience racism are left questioning the reality of their own experience. And this is particularly shocking in the face of the overwhelming evidence of structural inequalities in the UK. Government reports have consistently laid bare racism within the criminal justice system, in workplaces. Data shows that Black Britons are 19 times more likely to be stopped and searched by police. They are 58% more likely to be unemployed, and 47% more likely to be on a 0-hour contract. Not to mention the multiple structural factors behind the terrible toll of COVID on BAME communities. Instead of treating Black Lives Matter as a passing fad, or assuming that its message is unique to the United States, it's time for the British government to actually sit up and listen to its communities. Sadly, It seems that the government is currently more interested in engineering a culture war like that in America. This will supposedly endear them to the anti-immigrant voters in the North. It's a missed opportunity that will have tragic consequences.